Hi there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, bringing you this week's connection with intention. First of all, thank you so much for joining me this evening. It's always a pleasure for me to be able to connect with you in this way. And I'm grateful for the time that you're taking out of your day to be here with me, whether you're here with me live or you're joining in after the live broadcast. Thank you. It's always a pleasure. And thank you for finding me on this beautiful Wednesday evening. My energy yesterday was just so low that we had to move to today. So thank you for that. I was sitting here asking what we should be talking about in this intro portion of the evening, and I had a couple of things popping up. There have been a couple of things that have been coming into my awareness recently that felt like they were important to share. But I went to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and I just and of course I did it again. I just randomly pulled a card, and the card that we had this evening was Passion. This is Archangel Haniel's card, and then I pulled another card, and it didn't work for me this time. But the card that came up was this one, the Moon Cycles card, also Archangel Haniel. So I'm taking that as a message that we need to be connecting with Archangel Haniel this evening. And I've really enjoyed connecting with Haniel over the last many months. She is the angel who is most closely connected with the energy of the moon, particularly when the moon is full. And we have just come out of the full moon this past Sunday, May the 15th. Or Monday, May the 16th, depending on where you are in the world. So we're just a couple of days past the energy of the full moon. We're just kind of sliding out of it, but it was definitely a big one. And Archangel Haniel helps and supports us with releasing the things in our lives that no longer serve us, that no longer support us. But in addition to doing that, she also helps us to find the beauty in where we are. Helps us to find the beautiful thoughts that we can invite in when things are feeling difficult and feeling challenging. And from the little bits and pieces that I've been gathering from people around me, a lot of people have been experiencing intensity around this full moon. And I felt really important to remind everyone, or perhaps to inform people that we can be connecting with Archangel Haniel and asking her to help us see from a new perspective. One of the things that I love about working with the energy of the full moon is that it really illuminates and brightens the things that are usually in darkness. So typically when you think about the night sky, there's a lot of darkness. It's dark, but we have the illumination of the full moon, and so it brings light. It invites in shadow as well into things that at this time we don't normally see, we don't normally have awareness of. And it felt like it was really important to embrace those things that we are seeing, that are not usually at the surface. And that's one of the beautiful things about working with that energy of the full moon, because the things that we either don't normally allow ourselves to see or we don't focus on because we're, living our lives, suddenly these things will start coming up for us in a way that we can't ignore. And when something is in your face to the point where you can no longer ignore it, it needs to be addressed. It needs to be acknowledged. And potentially there are actions that you need to take in order to resolve this thing that is now in your face. And when we have a lot that is in our face in that way, it can be very difficult to see things that are beautiful about it, or that are loving and supportive about it. And Archangel Haniel can certainly help us and support us in doing that. So know that the energy of the full moon does feel like it's still very present, even though we are definitely moving out of it, and that you can call on Archangel Haniel for help and support. The other thing that came up for me was a little bit of a talk and a little bit of a chat about what the next couple of weeks might look like for a connection with intention. I've spoken about this a little bit with Bobby on our Oracle chats, but I haven't really addressed it here on my Facebook page. Over the last several months, I've been dealing with some new shifts and changes in my cycle, which of course ties into Archangel Haniel. And I believe that that was also part of the message that she was giving. Erin, it's time to talk about it. I deal with something called PMDD. It stands for premenstrual dysphoric disorder. It is a really good time. But no, it's actually really not. And so there are times throughout the cycle that I go through that I don't have any additional energy. And so if you've been following along with the show for a while, you might notice that there are some weeks where I'm just not here. And that's what's happening. So one of the things that I'm focusing on is, is kind of owning that and accepting that this is part of my life and the way that it is right now, and that it's really important for me to be really present, first of all, for myself, so that I can be present for my clients, and then from there be present for our connections with intentions. So I'm not 100% sure as I head into this next kind of challenging phase in my cycle. Obviously, Archangel Haniel is letting me know that she's around to help and support me with this, but I'm not 100% sure what next week will look like. And so for the next couple of weeks, we might be playing things by ear in terms of when connection with intention will happen. And it's possible it might not happen next week. So I wanted to put that out there to all of you to let you know it's kind of what's happening. Awesome. So let's say hello to everybody who's joined us. Hello to Kathy and Ange, Janine. It's wonderful to see all of you. Thank you for joining me. And Jessica and Cassandra, you guys have been really on with the emojis. I'm loving it. Hello to Margaret. It's been a while. Thanks for joining us. And to Claudia and to Danielle, thank you. It's wonderful to see you. Hey to Phyllis. And Janine saying, yep, that moon in Scorpio and lunar eclipse was huge. Yeah, there was a lot going on. Plus Mercury retrograde. Plus we had Friday the 13th, a couple of days before. Like, it's been big. It's been intense. So know that if you've been feeling it, you are not alone. And that it's important to take care of yourself. So get back to basics, sleep, rest, connect with the people that you love, possibly in small amounts, drink lots of water, get some exercise, breathe. Yeah, and Kathy's saying that she's felt heaviness too. Yeah, you're not alone. There has been a lot that's been processing, that's been coming through. One of the things I find really interesting is that we all go through and experience the intensity around the moon or around other energies in different ways and at different times, kind of going back to the energy that I experienced with my own fluctuations. April was a month that was really challenging. So everything hit me. But because I had that really deep, significant rest, for me, this hasn't been as intense, but I'll have my own fun. Hello to April. And Jessica, says that she has PMDD too. It was something that was initially talked about almost 20 years ago for me, and then kind of, no, you couldn't possibly do that. But in the last several years, I've been seeing more and more women talking about it, which I think is amazing, because I think that it probably affects more of us than we realize. So hello to Shelly and to Stephen. Howdy. It's always good to see both of you. Hello to Linda and Maxine. Maxine, you've been on my mind. I'm so glad to see you tonight. Hello to Patricia and Verna. Hi. It's wonderful to see all of you this evening. Thank you for joining me. Okay. Oh, and JC, hi. Great to see you too. All right. So you guys have been absolutely awesome with waiting to ask your questions. Thank you. We're going to do the Choose Your Crystal adventure this evening. While I'm preparing and doing that, if you want to ask your specific questions, now is the time to do it. And if you want me to use a particular card deck, please mention it with the question. So we've got the yellow deck, which is the Archangel Oracle card deck. You'd think I'd know by now. Then we have the green deck, which is the messages from your angels. And we have the blue deck, which is the messages from the mermaids and dolphins. Okay, so to make sure that everybody gets a reading this evening, we have your Choose Your Own Crystal adventure. These were actually the crystals that I used for the full moon what do you call it? The full moon thing I did on the Oracle chats on Sunday. Those are available on my YouTube page as well as on my Heavenly Messenger Facebook page. It's also on the Connections with Intentions Facebook page too. If you want to go back and do some new moon releasing with us, pardon me, full moon releasing with us, that's what we did. So these are our crystal choices for this evening. We have Rainbow Moonstone, Jet, and Blue Labradorite. What I'll ask you to do is take a moment and think about a question or questions that you want to connect with this evening. If you can't think of anything or there isn't anything that's really present for you, you could ask something like, what do I need to know right now? What do I need to focus on? What do I need to work on in this full moon cycle? So, I mean, to me, the full moon cycle starts with the full moon and it leads into the new moon. So what do I need to focus on and concentrate on for the next couple of weeks? All right, so we're going to pick a card for each. I'm just going to ask, what do the Rainbow Moonstone people need to know? What do our Jet people need to know? So, I didn't finish that. Come on, Erin, stop getting ahead of yourself. Take a moment, think of your question, and ask which crystal best represents what you need to hear and what you need to know. And I will just continue on choosing the cards. All right. Okay, so I'll just take this down and we're going to go Rainbow Moonstone over to Labradorite. So if you chose Rainbow Moonstone, first of all, the card is coming from our Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck. And the message for you this evening is Divine Magic. And this is actually a really cool card. I'm excited that it's come up. The message in particular is extra magical energy surrounds your situation right now. Expect miracles. When this card is drawn, and other cards are being drawn. So say, for example, you're doing some form of spread, then what this card does is it actually amplifies all of the messages of the cards on either side of it. It is definitely a card of transformation, and it is a card that's indicating that there is a lot that's happening and that things can happen that are outside of the norm, outside of what you're expecting. So it's a wonderful card for manifestation. And the encouragement is also to focus on what it is that you're wanting to create rather than what you don't want. I was actually having a conversation with somebody just recently, and one of the things she said was she's really been noticing that a lot of positive affirmations are actually focusing on the negative. I no longer want to have interactions with people who take my energy, rather than focusing on, I want to have interactions with people who support my energy. So not even going into the realm of like somebody taking something from you, that I don't want that, but focusing on the types of interactions that you want. So let's say, for example, you're looking at a romantic partnership or relationship. Well, I don't want somebody who's going to cheat on me, and I don't want somebody who's going to steal from me, which, I mean, kind of seems like bottom of the barrel basic things, but it happens. And so instead, a person could say, I am ready for a relationship with somebody who will treat me well, who respects me, who I can grow with, who I can have fun with, who is committed to me as much as I'm committed to them. There are a lot of different things that you can do. So if you chose Rainbow Moonstone, know that there is a lot that's happening with whatever it is that you have asked about. And it's important to put positive energy and positive expectation into it. But also to continue to work towards whatever you're focusing on, but just to know that there's more that's there. The next crystal that we had was the one in the middle. It was Jet. And so the card that we have for you this evening is the Rosetta Card. And her message is, you have a gift for working with young people, and your divine purpose involves helping, teaching, or parenting children. Now, you might be sitting here and saying, Erin, I don't have kids. I don't want kids. And this card doesn't really resonate for me, certainly for what I've asked. And often what I find for this card is it's encouragement to get in touch with your own young and youthful self, the things that bring you joy. This is also an invitation to ask yourself, what is it that I need to do to nurture and to support myself in the situation? How can I best parent myself to make sure that I am feeling like I am supported, that I am loved, that I have lots of opportunities to grow and to learn? So, for anybody who's chosen Jet, this is getting back to the basics with the energy of childlikeness. Of being in a place of youthfulness. And for many of us, if we think back to when we were children, there were a lot more opportunities that we could see for ourselves. Lots of different things, the reality of the harsh real world hopefully hadn't come and crushed things for us the way that it can when we're adults. And you could be sitting there saying, Erin, I don't know that I've ever experienced that or felt that. May this be the encouragement to find and to explore that now, to see where either healing can happen to allow for that, or where potentially, now that you are in a different place, how can I invite more of this openness into my life? So allow this to be a card of healing. And I'm also getting that there are a lot of angels that are coming to help and support with this healing as well. So call on Archangels Michael and Raphael and Uriel or whoever. And if you can't remember the names, that's okay. Just angels, please help me with this. This is what I'm working on. Help me to see this. Help me to experience this so I can heal and move forward. And potentially I can connect and help others to find that as well. So lots of protection, lots of healing, lots of opportunity, and lots of youth that is coming up for people who have chosen the Jet. And the last card that we have, oh, this is so funny. It's Archangel Michael. This is for everybody who chose Labradorite. And the card is, you are safe. Archangel Michael says, I am protecting you against lower energies and guarding you, your loved ones, and home. So whenever this card comes up, it is encouragement to know that you are in a place of safety where you are being helped and supported. One of the things that I notice, actually, I'm just going to kind of go back to Rosetta for just a moment. The jet crystal and the labradorite crystal are both crystals that are very protective, very loving, very grounded, very supportive. And so it's interesting that that's also been mirrored in the cards that we've had this evening. Going back to the labradorite crystal, as I said, it's a very grounded, it's a very protected crystal. That's a big part of what Archangel Michael is letting you know. Archangel Michael also helps and supports us in being on our life path. He helps and supports us in removing blocks that are preventing us from walking on that path. So if you have been drawn or called to do work in a particular arena and suddenly you find that there are lots of blocks coming up, you can call on Archangel Michael. You can ask him for help and support in helping you to get on and to stay on that path that you are being drawn to work with. One of the other things too is Archangel Michael, he's often represented with a sword. And part of the reason for that is because he helps to cut cords and energies that no longer serve us, that no longer support us. So there's a lot of clearing that comes up with Archangel Michael as well. So know that you're safe, that you're protected, and that there's some clearing work that needs to be done. I'm also hearing too, I've got communication coming up around people who have chosen the labradorite crystal. And I'm reminded that we are in Mercury retrograde right now. And one of the things that can come up is difficulty and challenge in communication. So give the benefit of the doubt where you can, and allow for additional time and space for communication and potentially, electronic or technological difficulties that may appear as well. Here in Union Bay, our power went out just as I was going into an hour-long session, and it was kind of a really quick on the fly, get the mobile hotspot going so that we can do our work. So, this is very common during Mercury retrograde because things are played with on a technological level, and it challenges our communication. Awesome. All right. So we're going to go to the questions. Oh my gosh, you guys, you've got lots. I will attempt to get to as many people as possible. Okay, so we've got Allison here. Hi, Allison. Thanks for joining us. Allison's wondering, what's the one thing specifically that I could do that would really help me develop my psychic abilities? Oh my gosh, I love this question. Okay, let's take a look. So I feel like you're already doing a lot of different things. One of the big things for me as people are kind of in a beginning place, but also at any point during um, the growth is acknowledging and recognizing when you're receiving psychic and intuitive messages and information. It can be really helpful and powerful to, I would call it journaling, but it's really more of a jotting down of like the date and what it is that you've felt, or like the message that you've received, the acknowledgement of it. And if you have a feeling for what that message is, then jotting that down as well. And the reason that that can be such a powerful and significant thing is that you then have a list of all of the things that you have received intuitive messages about. And potentially you've gone back and you've recorded like the wins, like, yep, and this happened, or yeah, I needed to pay attention to that. And that was right. So that when ego pops up, you can say, hey, or when ego pops up and says, you're not really doing that. You can say, but yeah, I've got this whole book full of things that says that I am, and I've got the proof. The other thing that I'm hearing specifically for you, Allison, actually is hearing. I'm wanting to encourage two things, the exploration and the development of your clairaudience, as well as clairsentience. So as I was talking earlier, one of the things that was coming up was having that conversation, that communication back and forth, where you are fine-tuning and honing the message that you receive. One of the things that comes up for people is the idea or the belief that whatever you get, and that's it, that there's no back and forth communication that happens, when in actual fact, that's part of what honing and developing that intuitive skill is you're learning to communicate with your intuition, and part of that is in asking questions, so becoming comfortable with asking questions, and I'm seeing feeling in your body when you get a yes, when you get a no, so that when you do recognize that, yeah, you're receiving some messages, you can really fine tune it to be okay. So who is this relating to? Is this something that I need to do something about right now? What do I need to be doing about it? How can I be helping and supporting? And so going through and asking all of those questions, and it will be likely a combination of a couple of things that you will know, hear, feel, see, what you're needing to be working on. But then you can ask yes, no, like, yes, is this right? Or do I need to fine tune it a little bit? So becoming comfortable with the yes, no. But I also have clairaudience popping up really strongly for you too, which is clear hearing, which is receiving messages through an auditory channel. So either you are hearing things in your mind, so it can sometimes sound like your own internal voice or like somebody else's internal voice in your head. You might be hearing song lyrics or bits and pieces of conversations that speak to you, or you turn on the radio and the song lyrics that come up have significant meaning. So there are lots of ways that we receive clairaudient messages. And I'm seeing that being either one of the ways that you are currently receiving messages, or that that's something that's being developed. So Allison, let's just pull a card for you and let's see what message is coming up for you around what you need to do to really help you develop your psychic abilities. So we've got the angel therapy card coming up. This is Archangel Raphael. Give your cares and worries to us, angels, and allow us to take your burdens. To me, this also feels like this is working with angels. And as I've said before, I love working with angels. I found that there's been so much support from like a protection point of view, and helping to make messages clearer or easier to understand. They can kind of offer amplification as we are learning and moving back and forth. So definitely call on your angels, ask them for help and support. Archangel Raphael has come up in particular. And he helps us with healing on lots of different levels, specifically from a physical point of view, but he helps us in healing in other ways as well. So I'd call on Archangel Raphael, ask him for help and support. And yeah, I keep getting this clear audience coming up for you, Allison. So definitely take a look at that too. It was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. So we've got Kathy here. Hi, Kathy. Thanks for joining us. Kathy's asking, will our not so nice neighbors be moving? I love how you put that. Okay, let's take a look. I'm seeing somebody really sitting on the fence. So it feels like the neighbors, there are at least two people who are part of the decision-making process. I'm seeing one person being ready to just like get out of there, but the other person is sitting on the fence, almost quite literally. And feels a little bit like they're digging their heels in. So this might be a bit of stubbornness. Somebody is not wanting to let go of the property. Um, and I can't tell if this is like a family thing or if it's a location thing or if it's just being downright stubborn because the other person is ready. But I'm also seeing like a financial thing too. I wouldn't be surprised if, as we start to see a bit of shift in real estate prices, if this person who's sitting on the fence says, okay, that's it, I'm ready. This no longer has quite the value that it has had in the past. That doesn't feel entirely true, but it feels like it's then a more prudent time. So there's a lot of logical kinds of feelings that I'm getting coming up around this person. So as I said, there is somebody who is ready to go. They're ready to move. It's where they are is no longer supporting them and they're ready. But somebody has really dug their heels in and they're just not going to play. So when I ask about if they will move, they will. Um, I'm not seeing anything within the next 6 months. It feels like it's going to take a little bit of time. And part of what I'm hearing is that there is something really significant about being at the property in the summer. So it feels like they are hesitant to make a move at that time. And I suspect that it's because they're wanting to enjoy or to experience the property during the summer months. But after that, it feels like things start to open up a little bit. And as real estate comes into a place where it's feeling a little more affordable and accessible, it feels like that's part of the consideration as well. So I do see that there will be a change, just it's not going to be for at least the next 6 months because somebody is really holding on to the property and they're not wanting to leave. And even it feels like they're in a position where they're selling. Even if the house is listed, I'm seeing this person kind of turning them down or just being stubborn enough just not to let any offers come in. So give it at least 6 months. So the card that I have for you is the music for manifesting. To manifest rapidly, to manifest rapidly, think of your desire while you chant, sing, or play music. And if you were to do this outside in the middle of the night at a really high volume, things might manifest more quickly. uh yeah, you certainly could do manifestation work around this. I suspect that this person is feeling very contrary and I don't know how effective it would be. In fact, if you were to try to make things more uncomfortable for them to be there, I see this person digging in even more. So create the wall, the boundary, the barrier, and focus on, from a manifestation point of view, on the things that you do want. So I have really amazing neighbors. Maybe they really keep to themselves, or I have really amazing neighbors and we're good friends. We're able to do things together. So focus on what you're wanting in your neighbors rather than getting rid of the ones that you have. Kathy, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love your way, and lots of manifestation energy too. Please keep us posted. Hi, Claudia. It's so good to see you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Claudia's asking, what do you see about a new kitty household member for me? When and do you see a color? Okay, so initially when you were asking, I saw one, I'm wanting to call it Abigail. That was the name of our cat. Calico is is what I'm wanting to say. So I'm going to say that this is likely a female cat that I'm seeing, because my understanding is that basically all calico cats are female, except on the very rare occasion that they are not. So what I would also say is that, there's a lot of multicolor to the cat that I'm seeing. In terms of, what was the other part of the question? When this one I'm feeling a little bit hesitant with. On the one hand, I'm really wanting to invite in new kitty energy, particularly kitten energy, because it feels like that brings like some life and some vibrance, where possibly there's a feeling of heaviness. But it also feels like there's a hesitation to invite a cat energy in just yet. I wouldn't be surprised if you do have one through the summer months or the later summer months. I wouldn't be surprised if that's kind of the time that you're inviting this cat into the home. And it feels like it's a young cat. So, I mean, it could be a young rescue cat, but I'm kind of wondering if this is maybe a kitten from a litter that you're getting pretty fresh, like once it's ready to be away from its mother, because it is bringing a lot of really youthful, joyful energy into your home. And I've got lots of personality that's coming up too. So like kind of like a little bit of a prancing energy sometimes, and just being generally cute and playful. Playful is definitely a word that I would use to describe this little kitten that's coming into your world. And she feels really comfy. She shows me that she likes to curl up and to cuddle up. As she gets a little bit older, she gets a little bit sassy. But initially, I've got a lot of playful energy that's coming through, and it feels like that's part of what is needed, because she is shifting some energy in your space and helping to lift it up. Let's see. We're going to go to the messages from your angels, and we're just going to ask, what does Claudia need to know about this new kitten coming into her life? Here's the card. Oh, interesting. So the card that we have is the Athena card. It is safe for you to be powerful. You know how to be powerful in a loving way that benefits others as well as yourself. One of the things that I love about this card is, not only does it bring a feeling of power to it, of really standing your ground, but there's also this very loving, nurturing, and gentle energy that comes through. And I often associate it with boundaries, with the need to create healthy, loving, and supportive boundaries in interpersonal relationships and other relationships and connections that we have with people. One of the ideas that has recently been presented to me has been the idea of boundaries being for you as opposed to what you're asking somebody else to do. The idea being that you can ask somebody to change their behavior until they're blue in the face, but the only person who has any control over somebody else's behavior is them. The only behavior that you have any control over is your own. And the idea that perhaps we should be switching our thoughts and perceptions around what boundaries look like to the boundaries that we're creating for ourselves in terms of the actions that we're going to take. So if somebody is pushing up against that boundary, it's not, I need you to change your behavior. It's, I am removing myself, or until this is resolved, I am going to do this while you figure out that. So it's interesting that boundaries came up. It has nothing to do with the kitten that you've asked about, but that was the message that was coming through for you this evening, Claudia. It is always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. We've got Cassandra here. Hi, Cassandra. Thanks for joining us. And it's so interesting. You've said the green deck and the jet, which is exactly the deck that we used, but I'll pull the green deck for you. Cassandra's saying, oh, good. Feeling lighter after the full moon release. Thank you. That's awesome. I love doing that release. I'm so glad that you were able to join us. What are some tricks I can use to lighten my energy when I'm feeling heaviness? Also, on a crystal point, what are the best stones to keep nearby to ward off those heavy feelings? So first of all, if you are going to be using crystals in that way from like a protection point of view, or potentially acting as something that is going to absorb like heavy feelings or negativity, you're going to want to make sure that you're clearing them on a regular basis, particularly if you have them in your bedroom or if you're keeping them on your body. There are lots of different ways that you can clear crystals. One of the most well-known ways is putting it out in the full moonlight, but you can only do that once a month because that's when the full moon is out. So other things that you can do, if you know any sort of energy healing, you can definitely do Reiki or energy healing on it. If you don't, that's okay. I know I've got a crystal here. You can take the crystal in your hands, and you can send energy to it. So you can thank it for the work that it's done. You can ask that the crystal be cleaned and cleared. You can connect with the energy of the earth, feel that moving through your body, connect with the energy of God, source, universe, divine, whatever your belief system is, feel that come through your body and everything coming into your heart, out through your heart, your hands, and into the crystal. I think it can be really helpful because it's an honoring of a tool that you are using to help to keep you clear and to help to keep you safe. There are lots of different crystals that you can use. And I find it really interesting that you chose jet this evening, because jet is one of the crystals that I use to just like pull the gunk out. When I'm doing any form of energy work, if I come to a spot in a place where it feels really dense, where there's a lot of heaviness, jet just sucks that right out. But it is a crystal that definitely needs to be cleared regularly because it's doing a lot of work. So in addition to jet, I would encourage citrine is also a really great crystal. One of the things that I like about citrine is that it's also self-clearing and it will help to clear the crystals around it too. So it's nice to have a piece that feels really powerful to you. Part of what I'm seeing is like one of the points that's coming up really strongly. And it also feels like that's something that can help to direct energy in different ways. I tend to like to really focus on what I would call kind of the quote unquote basic crystals that are really easily accessible. So like jet should be very easily accessible. I know that you're here in BC as well. So I know in BC, jet's fairly accessible. Same with citrine. Like citrine anyway is often one that you'll find in those mixed tumbled bins. Like it's really accessible. The other one that I would suggest would be clear quartz. And the reason for that is that clear quartz really helps to lift your vibration and your energy. It's got a really strong high vibration itself. And so instead of like fending off all of the lower energy, it's kind of like, well, why don't we just lift you up above it? I mean, and I kind of appreciate that, rather than saying, hey, like I'm just going to keep focusing on this and I've got this heaviness that's coming up. Like, no, let's just move up beyond it. So some of the higher vibration crystals that can be really helpful, as we've said, quartz, clear quartz is really great. I also am really feeling rose quartz for you as well, because it's such a deep, compassionate crystal. It's one that is wonderful for the heart chakra and for compassion for ourselves, compassion for others. And I'm also being drawn to talk about malachite too. So malachite, let me see. I usually have a piece of it. No, I don't have it on my desk. It's not handy. Malachite is also a heart chakra crystal, but it's kind of like it goes in there like gangbusters. So you're talking about heaviness that you're experiencing. Malachite's going to bring all of that up to the surface. Like if you think about sometime in the past, likely when you've had like a pimple just kind of underneath the surface, and you're like, I just need to pull this out so that it can come to the surface and I can deal with it once it's at the surface. That's what malachite does. It brings everything up to the surface, and it can be pretty intense. So I like to use it with rose quartz, because the rose quartz also deals with the heart chakra, but it helps to balance and round it out. Again, both of those two crystals will really hold on to a lot of energy, so you'll want to make sure that you clear them on a regular basis. Okay, let's take a look and see what we have coming up for you, Cassandra, in terms of messages. What does Cassandra need to know about? Just what do you need to know? And the card that we have here is the Mystique card. And I love this card. Keep charging ahead and don't take no for an answer. Expect miraculous solutions to appear. I'm reminded of how similar it is to the message that we had at the beginning of the show today, which was again about expecting miraculous solutions to appear. So there is definitely a lot of lightning. There's a lot of opening that is coming and that's available to you, Cassandra. So know that you are on the right track with the things that you're doing, with the things that you're planning, the way that you're supporting yourself. You're on the right track. And part of what I'm seeing is like if you were down at the bottom of a hole. And it's interesting because when I recognize that I'm starting to feel kind of depressed, that's kind of what I see, is like I see like going down deep into a hole. But what I'm seeing for you is like a rope that you are climbing out of the hole with, and I'm feeling a lot of support. And as you're climbing out, it's like you're finding these new footholds really easily. So it's like you're coming up and out of a place that is feeling challenging and that's feeling difficult. And not only are you coming up and out, but also there are like footholds that are helping you along the way. So you're on the right track, and there's help and support for you along the way too. Cassandra, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Shelly. Hi, Shelly. It's always great to connect with you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Okay, so Shelly says we can use whichever deck. And she's wondering about job prospects. What do we have coming up for Jelly with job prospects? So I'm seeing a couple of different options. Actually, I'm seeing many options, but many of them I'm seeing not having the energy, not having the interest. And so you are choosing not to see those options. And that feels like that's a really great thing. I want to encourage you to do that. So what that says to me is likely there are some that are being presented to you and you're just like, no. And that's great. I have two with the possibility of a third one that's coming up a little bit later, but the ones that feel like they're right in front of me, it feels like they are coming available like in the next couple of weeks. I wanted to say the middle of June, but it feels like it's a little bit sooner than that. And it feels like I've got two really solid options. I'm kind of wondering if there might be some sort of seasonal aspect to them, because they don't feel like either of them are really long term. But that's where I've got this other one kind of swooping in, and it's full speed ahead. So what I'm going to say is it does feel like there are two opportunities that are coming up for you. They're coming up in a relatively short amount of time. June feels like that's when you're up and running with it. It feels like there's a certain amount of flexibility that's happening with this. It kind of, the movement that I'm seeing is of an accordion, like, you know, you're pressing in and out and kind of moving in different ways. So that's showing me that there's a fair amount of flexibility in either the work that you're doing or the timing that you can do the work. I'm seeing that there's flexibility in terms of when things need to be done and addressed, and it's giving you opportunity to focus on other things that are more important. It feels like you've got this job for a couple of months. Again, there's that seasonal aspect to it. Maybe a little bit longer. I would take it into September. I wouldn't maybe a little bit longer than that. But then this other thing comes right in and you're off and running. So it feels like you're being supported in the energy that you have at the moment, what you have to give to a job that is outside of yourself. And then as things are becoming even more balanced, then you're really able to start going full steam ahead. This other job feels like it's got a slightly faster pace to it. It feels like it's more grounded, where there are different kinds of expectations. And I'm seeing you being in a place where this feels like this is really energizing to you. So that feels like that's coming up kind of like, I'm getting a time frame for this as well, mid-August to sometime in October. And it feels like it likely has to do with the timing for this other work that I'm seeing for you that feels like it's seasonal, it's in the summer, and it's kind of in between. Okay, so let's take a, actually, we're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to ask, what does Shelley need to know about work coming up? Oops, we've got a jumper. And the card that we have is the Dream Big card. Oops. Let go of small thoughts about yourself and see yourself succeeding. So sometimes we have perceptions about ourselves or where we are, or other things that are going on. And it's not that we aren't capable, but that we are somehow being squashed down by old beliefs or ideas about what's happening or what's available. I know that this has really come up for me in lots of different ways, where you get into the mindset where like, this isn't possible, or it's just not available, or it's just not here. And part of what I hear with that is allow yourself to dream big, allow yourself to believe that there is a job that will support you on a financial level, that it will help and support you with what you need in this time, that will have the flexibility, and that when things are in a different balance, that you can go straight forward, full steam ahead. Shelley, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Patricia. Hi, Patricia. Thanks for joining us. Patricia's asking, how will my spirit baby mediumship certification go? Cool. Will I be able to fully connect? And a card of my choosing. Okay, let's take a look. Well, first of all, spirit baby mediumship sounds really cool. I'm excited about that for you. Yeah, it feels like it's not going to be an issue for you to connect at all. Part of what I'm seeing, I'm not sure with the baby part, but I'm being reminded of a reading that I did years ago, way back when I was beginning. I was in one of the local malls at a spirit show and spirit fair, and I was such a newbie, and I was doing this reading for this young woman, and her baby started coming through, and I asked her if she was pregnant. She said yes, she had just found out like days before that she was pregnant, and her baby came through. So that is what I am being reminded of. And the way that energy came through was very different. It was kind of really fast and breathy, like almost like somebody was trying to talk to me, but they were out of breath because it was really, really fast. And there were lots of ideas, and it was really different, but it came through using exactly the same pathway. And that's part of what I'm seeing when you ask, will I be able to fully connect? I'm seeing yes, because you already have the resources that you need to be making connections. It's just that you're connecting with this in a slightly different way. I'd also relate it to the difference between connecting with like angels, God, source, universe, and connecting with deceased loved ones who are on the other side, which is what mediumship is. And the pathways that you use to connect with both of those, they're exactly the same. It's just how you connect is slightly different. And part of what I'm seeing with the course that you're doing, with your intention and your desire to connect on that level, it feels like that really helps to open the doors. So it's almost like usually when you connect, you go up here, But to make the connections that you're looking at, you actually need to come down to this level. So don't overreach, is I think the message that I have for you with that. Let's see, we're going to go to the Archangel Oracle card deck. I'm just going to ask, what messages they have for you around how this certification course will go for you. I've got Archangel Azrael popping up really strongly as well. As I said earlier, I love working with angels. You can absolutely call on Archangel Azrael and ask him to help and support you with this. Archangel Azrael has been known as the angel of death, but that's only because he helps people to cross over. And he also helps to support communication between those of us who are still here and those of us who are on the other side as well. So call on Archangel Azrael, ask him to help you make the connections that you want to make. Also ask him to help you with the volume, that he can help to act as a bit of an interpreter. And I've got Michael popping in too. Your card this evening is Breathe. This is Archangel Raphael from the Archangel Oracle card deck. Take several deep breaths and exhale slowly to awaken your energy and to release old patterns. So the old patterns is actually the part that I'm really focusing on for you. And it could be worthwhile before you start the certification, or like as you're going through the process, to see if there are any limiting beliefs that are coming up for you around connecting with deceased loved ones or around any of the work that you're doing. And always one of the ways to move through any blocks in this type of work is to focus on service. It's not about you. It's not about what you can do. It is about being the conduit and to be of service, to help and support whoever it is that you're working on. And I find as soon as you start focusing on service, everything opens up, because you have reaffirmed the purpose that you have for the connection that you're making with the people in front of you and whoever you are reaching for to connect with on their behalf. You're there to be of service. And if you're there of service, then everything opens up. Patricia, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And please come back. Let us know how your certification went. That sounds like a really exciting thing to do. All right. Hi, Linda. We've got Linda here. Linda says, I have 29 working days left and then I am retiring. Congratulations. What should I know and concentrate on as I enter into retirement? So first of all, I've got lots of feelings that are coming up. I'm feeling a sense of celebration that's coming through. So my hope is that you will do something to acknowledge and celebrate this change that you're going through, the change from being in a place of working and transitioning into a place of retirement, celebration for the work that you have done while you've been working, and celebration for this next step that you are heading into. I have something that's coming up with your knee. So this could be coming up on a physical level, or this could be coming up on an energetic level. So we have, often when we talk about chakras, those are the energy centers that we have in our body. People will focus on the primary 7 chakras that we have, like your crown chakra and your third eye and your throat and your heart, your solar plexus, sacral, and root chakras. We talk about those a lot. But we also have secondary chakras, lots of secondary chakras throughout our body. And the secondary chakras in our knees have to do with moving forward. And so sometimes when we experience injuries in the knees or the feet and ankles, there are secondary chakras there that are the same, that have to do with moving forward, or in part. And when stuff comes up around the knee, it can have to do with either wanting to move forward too quickly, or in being hesitant to move forward to make that step. And I wonder if part of the reason that this is coming up is on an energetic level. I am feeling you being really ready to make that step into retirement, but it also feels like there's a bit of hesitation that's coming up as well. So part of what I'm seeing for you is having planned downtime or vacation, or like an extension of the celebration, and making sure that you're planning that in, that, for the next 2 weeks, all I'm going to do is read my book, or I'm going to spend time with people that I love, or I'm going to do something that I really enjoy doing that I haven't had enough time to do because I've been working or I've been doing other things. This is part of how I'm going to celebrate this change in my life. But then after that, it feels like part of what you're doing is you're focusing on, okay, what am I going to do to bring in things that feel like they are really fulfilling for me? Because part of the thing that I get for you, Linda, is, it doesn't feel like you are in a point or a place or an energy in your life where you're ready to just like allow retirement to kind of erode things away. You still feel very vibrant and full of life. And it feels like part of what you're doing in your retirement is making sure that you are staying in that place. So I've got connections with family, feel like they're coming up really strongly. Also connections with other people, though I'm also seeing you being selective about who you're choosing to spend time with. And I have a lot of activities that are coming up, that's feeling important. I have a small bit of community. Again, I have this sense of being really aware of who you're choosing to spend time with, that you're not willing to spend time with just anybody, because there's a preciousness that's coming up for me, for you, around time. So I'm seeing focusing on really celebrating, really enjoying, and then it feels like you're coming into a new balance and a new rhythm and a new routine. And I have new people coming up as being significant and important for you, as you move into retirement. Let's take a look. What message is coming up for Linda? We have the nurture card. Yeah, this is Archangel Gabriel. And Gabriel's message is, as you nurture a child, you nurture your own inner child. Both activities are important for you right now. So I see this as being encouragement to really make sure that you're taking the time for yourself. The other thing that was popping up, I don't know if you have children in your life, not adult children, but young children, because it also feels like that might be part of this next phase for you. Is I'm seeing connecting with children, who you have relationship with, and that feels like that could be it could be a really enjoyable time. I don't think I'm seeing you in an overly caregiving role, because it feels like it's important for you to have some downtime. So this feels like this is a fun connection and interaction, something that you really enjoy. Linda, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining you, and congratulations on your upcoming retirement. That is so exciting. I hope that you do truly celebrate everything that you've done and moving into this place of retirement and really thoroughly enjoy yourself. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. We've got April here. Hi, April. Thanks for joining us. April said, I'm ready for a relationship. Yes, I love the big smiley face emoji that you shared. What do we have coming up for that? Oh, okay. So the words that I'm hearing are patience, little grasshopper. So I am feeling you being ready, but I also have this sense of the need for a bit of patience, and I I truly dislike giving this message, mostly because I really dislike receiving it as well. So know that I am equally as frustrated as you as I share this with you. But what I'm hearing is that relationship will come when you're no longer looking for it. Yeah, I know. It drives me crazy too. But that's part of what I'm seeing. So when I ask about new relationship coming in, yeah, it feels like it kind of almost blindsides you, because I'm seeing you focusing on something over here, and this new relationship's kind of like coming over here, and it's just like, whoa, where did that come from? So that tells me that you are not actively looking for the relationship when it finds you. It feels like you are out doing something you enjoy. I've got community coming up really strongly around you. And I want to say I'm feeling your girlfriends around you too. So I don't know if you're out doing something with them, or what, but I have friends around. One of the things that's interesting to me is that, as I said, like I am seeing you being around friends and likely women friends, girlfriends, but that this person is coming through. So even though you're in that situation, this person has the confidence to come through and to become part of that crowd to get to you, because they're interested. So yeah, relationship is coming. Patience is going to be required, but not a huge amount of patience. Like the weather still feels like it's nice. So either it's happening during the summer or we have a nice fall, that you're meeting and connecting with this person. I've got a lot of light, like sunlight, that's coming up. So I'm pretty sure we're not looking at something that's too late in the fall. And yeah, it feels like you are out doing something that you enjoy with people that you enjoy. You're happy, you're feeling uplifted, you're feeling comfortable, you're feeling confident, and it feels like that's part of you become a bit of a beacon for this person, and they kind of beeline for you, and that's kind of it. So it is feeling like it's a really beautiful connection, and somebody who has good confidence in themselves and a good ability to interact and engage with the people around you too, which feels significant and important. Let's see, April, what's coming up for you? We're going to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and I'm just asking, what do we need to know for April around relationship? So the card that we have here, this is Archangel Metatron. It's the chakra clearing card. Call upon me to clear and open your chakras using sacred geometric shapes. So one of the things that is coming up for me is sometimes a big part of the challenge when we are ready for relationship and it takes a little bit of time is maintaining that readiness. So what you might find is even though you're ready, some stuff starts coming up, like some questions, or you start to go into the ups and downs. Call upon Archangel Metatron, ask for help and support in clearing and releasing that. Another angel that's really helpful with that is Archangel Uriel. He helps us to heal on an emotional level too. So call on helpers, angel, guide, ascended masters, God source, universe, creator, whatever your belief system is, whatever feels comfortable for you. Ask for help and support in maintaining yourself in your energy so that you are in the place that you want to be in when you meet and connect with this person. Yeah, keep doing the clearing, keep doing the work. You are absolutely ready for romantic partnership and relationship. Now your job is just to stay there. April, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and romance angels your way, and ask them to help usher in beautiful, loving relationship for you. We've got Danielle here. Hi, Danielle. Thanks for joining us. Danielle's asking, what do I need to focus on for the next couple of weeks? And the mermaid deck. Okay, so let's take a look. What do you need to focus on? Ooh, we've got a jumper for you. So when I ask, I'm feeling my energy being pulled in a lot of different directions. And what I'm actually wanting to do is to take a bit of a step back and to be really mindful about what it is that I'm wanting to focus on. Where am I wanting to put my energy? Where does it best serve me? And where does it best serve where I'm wanting to go and what I'm wanting to focus on? So it feels like there's a bit of a taking a step back. I'm doing kind of a scan, and I'm reevaluating. I'm looking at is the path in the direction that I'm on right now, is this still what I'm wanting to be focusing on? Am I honoring my energy and my needs in how I've set up my life right now? Or do I need to create space for something else that would best support me either now or what I'm working towards in the future? So there's a lot of life review that feels like it's coming up for you. I've got a lot of quietness, and I'm also wanting to invite in opportunities for experiencing joy and experiencing connection. I feel like I am reaching out and connecting with others in ways that feels safe and comfortable and joyful for me. And it feels like you are being lifted up as well. So I'm wondering if the quality of the interactions that you are having, that you're choosing over the next couple of weeks, starts to shift, change, and expand in a really positive way. The card that jumped out for you from the Mermaids and Dolphins deck is the Explore Your Options card. It's time to look at other possibilities, and it's a good time to make changes. I don't know that I got so much around making changes. I would call it more adjustments, because it feels like things feel like they are in the path and the direction that you're wanting to go on overall. I wonder if there could be the opportunity for a bit of pause to create a bit of space. But I don't think I'm seeing really big overhaul change just yet at this point. But it could be that you're in a place where you're starting to gather the information, the ideas, the motivation, and the passion for some bigger change. But it doesn't feel like that's where you are just yet. Danielle, it's always such a pleasure to connect with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. So we've got Verna here. Hi, Verna. Thanks for joining us. Verna chose the blue Labradorite. Awesome. My daughter is going through a very bad custody. Will my granddaughter be okay? Let's take a look and see what we have. Yeah, that is feeling really deep, and it's feeling really difficult and very challenging. Part of my gut reaction is to like start cutting things completely off. And I'm assuming that means with your granddaughter's father or other parent. Um, but it actually feels like part of what's happening is coming to some sort of balance between all of the parties. And it feels like at this point, that is what serves your granddaughter the best. It does feel like there will be some changes and adjustments in the long term, but that right now a big part of what is needed is finding some balance to work from, so that everybody can kind of ground, because everything feels like it's very big. It feels very emotional. And it feels like there's a lot of back and forth that's happening that is just creating more emotion, more challenge, and more exhaustion. And basically what I'm seeing is the need to create a bit of a pause and a bit of a break. And so possibly to come to an arrangement for a period of time, and then some form of review will be done. But it feels like what your daughter and what your granddaughter ideally are needing at this point is they're needing a bit of break, they're needing a bit of peace, and they're needing a bit of balance. But that this isn't the way that it's always going to be, and that there can be push for bigger change and deeper change in the long run. And it feels like, as I said, part of the way that is happening is in creating that space right now to ground, to balance, and that it's only for a short amount of time. We're going to go to the big guys for you, Verna. We're just going to ask what messages does Verna's daughter need to know? I'm going to ask on your daughter's behalf. What does she need to know to best provide for her daughter? Interesting. So the card that we have coming up for you is Archangel Zadkiel. This is the clairaudience card. Notice the loving guidance you hear inside your mind or from other people. But I'm actually, part of what I'm hearing is I'm wanting to protect the ears. And that kind of makes me wonder if part of the challenge that your daughter and your granddaughter are in are the words that are being spoken to them, because it feels like there's potentially some damaging words or sounds that are being spoken, and I'm wanting to create a bit of filter, because it feels like these are starting to have an impact on overall health and well-being. So I'm really wanting to fill both of them up with really positive words of affirmation, encouragement for, how well they're doing, lots of love. I'm really wanting to bombard is not the ideal word, but that's the one that's coming to me. I'm wanting to bombard them with loving words, with loving affirmations. And if it's something that your daughter and your granddaughter would be open to, I would encourage them to do affirmations together. I am a powerful woman. I am a kind woman. I am a being of light. I am able to create the circumstances that I am in. I choose to only hear loving, positive, and supportive things. That is all that I will allow myself to absorb. Anything that is negative or detrimental to my health and well-being, it just bounces off of me. It has no opportunity to stick to me. And I am a being of love and light. And that is how I express myself as well. So it feels like that's where the clairaudient message is coming through for your daughter. Verna, it was such a pleasure connecting with you today. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you, to your daughter, and to your granddaughter too. Okay, Dot. Hi, Dot. It's always so good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And Dot is asking, is there something I need to focus on with my life path? Let's take a look and see. Well, when I tap in, I'm kind of feeling you twiddling your thumbs a little bit. It feels like you are looking for a bit of a path and a bit of direction to be focusing on. There have been lots of changes, lots of adjustments. Things have been happening, but now it feels like where do I put my energy? I am very vibrant. I have a lot to give, a lot to experience. Where do I channel that energy? Where I am now. Oh, Dot. I mean, like I'm seeing so much coming up around the energy work that you do. But it doesn't feel like it feels like there's more that you are doing. I mean, I already see you in a place where you explore that in a beautiful depth, but I'm wanting to encourage you to quote unquote get back into it, or to get into it in a deeper kind of way. I'm seeing connecting with other people on a regular and consistent basis, whether that's in like an energy format or something else. Like I'm feeling the need to be connecting with people. I have family coming up really strongly around you. And although those connections feel like they're important and significant, I am seeing community that's growing outside of family too. Though family can certainly be part of that community, it feels like there is engagement that's happening outside of the circle that you have. And I do have a bit of a metaphysical bent that's coming up to it. And I'm also seeing some form of craft. I don't know if you enjoy any form of crafting or doing of things, but like your hands need to be busy. I think that's really what it is. Whether you're doing some form of energy work, or you're creating, or you're writing. I could see writing too, but I'm feeling the need to be creative, to be doing something, and also to be connecting with other people. So I know that that's kind of a bit of a jumble, but the things, when you ask, what do I need to focus on? These are the things that I'm seeing. I'm seeing you focusing on like energy, healing, manifestation, playing in that realm. I'm seeing connecting with family, but also connecting with a larger community that family might be part of, but that extends beyond them. I'm seeing doing things with your hands. So whether it's some sort of like crafting or creating, or it's some sort of writing that you're doing, it feels like there is a need for your hands to be active. And as I say that, as I talk about that, I'm wondering if you might be developing a little bit of arthritis in your hands, because it feels like it is really important to move your hands. And so I'm seeing something that looks a little bit like a knitting or like a crochet. I mean, if that's not your thing, that's totally okay. I think that message is more coming in from the point of view that you are needing to move your fingers. And so actually from that perspective, energy flowing through the hands can also be really helpful too. And writing, as I said, is coming up really strongly for you too. It feels like it's kind of anecdotal, it's experience based. There might be a bit of a story that you follow through it, but it really feels like it has to do with experiences that you've had, with things that you found interesting or joyful, or and it could be something that you're writing just for yourself, but I suspect that it will be shared with others too. And let's go to the Archangel Oracle card deck, and we're just going to ask, what does Dot need to focus on with her life path right now? Um, and we've got Metatron here. Metatron's talking about prioritizing, focus on your highest priorities. I will help you get organized and motivated. And I mean, yes, prioritize does feel like it's important and significant, but what I'm mostly drawn to is Archangel Metatron is also the angel of energy healing. And he works with people who do energy work. He helps and supports with chakra clearing. In fact, we had a chakra clearing card for somebody just a couple of readings ago, and that's Archangel Metatron's card. And so I would say we've got a pretty big hit on making sure that you're continuing to do energy healing work in some fashion, not only for yourself and for your family, but I'm seeing you doing it for others too, just as something that you really enjoy. Dot, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. JC, I think that you probably mentioned angels because that's who the deck that you wanted, but I'm sending lots of love and angels your way. Oops, my what do you call it? Just got lost here. There we go. So we've got Stephen here. Hi, Stephen. Thanks for joining us. Stephen says, I have no ambition for new goals right now, and I'm okay with that for the first time in my life. Yeah, I was about to say, like, I'm really excited that you are in a place of like no ambition for new goals, because often that comes up when we have so much on our plate already that we need to take care of that. So that's really exciting. What do you see for me in the next 30 days? I turn 40 on June 20th. Yes. So happy early birthday, Steve. Let's see what we have coming up for you. When I ask, I'm feeling and I'm hearing kind of a bit of a settling. It feels like it's a bit of a calming, a bit of a grounding of your energy. And I'm going back to the message that you had about no motivation for any new goals. I mean, it feels like that's actually one of the best things for you at this point, because it means that you're really able to focus on the things that are important and that are meaningful for you in this moment. Where in the past, it feels like you've had like a goal here and a goal there and a goal here, and you're like, you've got lots of balls that you're juggling in the air. And, having those tendencies myself, I know that it can be really difficult to accomplish anything if you're giving a little bit of energy here and a little there and a little there and a little there. Or if you took all of those little bits and you put it towards one thing or two things, suddenly you're completing, you're finishing, where you're kind of, if you're not doing that, you're expending in lots of different directions and nothing is really bearing any fruit. And that becomes really difficult. And it's very hard to maintain your motivation to continue to do anything because you're just sapped and drained. So I'm seeing you really focusing on the things that are on your plate right now, but I'm also seeing you taking a bit of a step back. Like it feels like there isn't any current benefit to putting a lot of energy out. It feels like you're focusing more on holding on to some of that energy, allowing that energy to build up until it feels really big and you're like, yeah, I've got the energy and the motivation and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm just going to go for it. So you're in a bit of an incubation phase. Prioritizing feels like that's one of the words that I would use. Review feels like that's another word that I would use. Like, what's important to me right now? What do I want to put my energy into? I'm seeing you kind of going back and looking at lessons that you've learned and kind of amalgamating those. That feels like that's maybe a little too organized for what I'm seeing, but yeah, there's a lot of review that's happening, but I'm feeling some excitement that's coming up too. So my hope is that you are planning to really celebrate 40 in a way that feels significant and meaningful for you, um, because it feels like that's part of where you are, part of what you're needing, and part of what really helps to launch this new decade for you. So, celebrating your 30s on their way out and welcoming in the 40s. And I'm not seeing you focusing on planning too far ahead, because you're focusing more on enjoying the moment that you're in right now, which is part of that stepping back that's coming up for you. So it's really interesting because I'm drawn to the Mermaids and Dolphins card for you, Stephen. And usually that's kind of the get up and go card. Like, what am I going to do? Where do I put my energy? So it is kind of counterintuitive to the messages that came up for you. However, this is where we're going. So, all right. So the card that we have for you is that you are being helped. Heaven is working behind the scenes to help you, even if you don't see results yet. And, it's interesting because I think that that can also be one of the benefits of pausing. Um, when it comes to working on something that you're really excited about, you're really determined about, it can kind of be like planting a garden. And if you have purple thumbs like me, you may relate to this story. You plant your seeds. You're like, water is really good for seeds. Seeds need to have water. So you could sit there watering and watering and watering and watering. Not only is the watering detrimental, but it can actually drown the poor little seeds. And so sometimes we need to step back and not completely focus on the things. We need to allow sun to come in. We need to allow that seed opportunity to germinate, to get the resources from the soil and from the fertilizers. There are passive aspects to the manifestation process that need to be honored as well. And it feels like that's part of where you are right now, is there is a stepping back that happens, and you're giving the things that you have been working on an opportunity to show you what is going to germinate and where you should invest your energy to help to bring that along. And so it feels like you're in a place of pausing and stepping back, but that it's exactly what you need. And it's exactly what's going to catapult you further in the future. Steve, it's always a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. All right, let me see. We've got Michelle here. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. Michelle says, what do you feel regarding my work career? Should I stay where I am, or is it time for a change? So this is really interesting because I'm feeling you being ready for a change. But what I'm hearing is that there is a need to stay where you are for right now. So I would say that you're coming into a bit of a transition phase. I'm not feeling you leaving or making a really big and significant change at this moment, but it also doesn't feel like it's that far off either. And with that message, I'm getting two different directions. I'm seeing the possibility for an evolution to happen in the existing job that you're in, but I'm also seeing an opportunity for a move out of what you're doing and where you are right now. But it feels like it is the act of being ready for change, being open for change, that helps to bring about these two opportunities. So one of the things that I would focus on is I would focus less on where am I going to be and more on, when I am doing the work that I really enjoy doing, how do I feel? What is it like for me to interact with any coworkers I may have, or customers or clients that I may have? How does it feel when I get up in the morning to go to my work? Am I feeling really excited? Am I feeling really challenged in the work that I'm doing? And when I talk about challenge, I don't mean like strife, but I mean challenge in terms of learning something new, or it feels like there's, opportunity and growth, and I feel like I'm learning and I'm contributing, and I feel really satisfied at the end of my work day. And it feels like those are the things that you're focusing on right now as you're in this place of, I'm open to something else, I'm open to something new. Because it feels like, as I said, it either creates new opportunity where you are right now for things to open up, or it completely sidelines that and it says, hey, we're going in this other new direction. But basically what you're doing is you're saying to the universe, hey, this is how I want to feel. Help me to find the opportunity that will allow for that. I do have a bit of education that's coming up for you. This doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to school and you're getting like a degree or something, but it does feel like there is some form of learning that's going to be happening. So again, either in the existing position that you're in, it's kind of upping in some way, and so additional education is required, or you're heading into a new path that's also going to involve a certain amount of education so that you have the skills or the knowledge to do this new work. But there is definitely change that's coming up. I just want to take a look at, yeah, and you're basically asking if you should stay where you are, or is it time for a change? It's both. You're staying where you are for right now, but it is time for a change. And it feels like as you make these shifts that we're talking about, that those new opportunities present themselves and it becomes really clear. And I've got a couple of little bopping points. Like if you think of skipping rocks, you know how they kind of like it skips across the surface. That's how this is being represented to me. And so it feels to me like it actually creates several opportunities. So I want to encourage you to kind of sit back and feel like you're negotiating with the universe a little bit. It's almost like, yeah, here's that opportunity. But I mean, it's different from what I'm doing right now, but maybe the pay is about the same. It's like, nah, that's not really what I want. And then something else might come up and it's like, yeah, that's not really what I want either. Like you're getting closer. That's not quite what I want. And so it feels like you kind of sit back with it and you're really fine tuning and honing again with the universe. So don't be afraid to be playful and to negotiate. And part of what I'm hearing is that if it is meant to be, then it will happen. So don't feel that you will miss out on something by not accepting an opportunity that's there. Let's take a look. You didn't ask for a specific card deck. So we're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins. We're just going to ask, what does Michelle need to know about her career? I'm going to ask in September, what's happening for you in your career in September? And okay, so the card that we have here is the contemplation time. Spend time alone, meditating upon what you truly desire. So there are a couple of things that come up for me with this. First of all, I want to encourage you to be doing this right now because it feels like that's the energy that you're wanting to invite in is, which direction is it that I want to go in? But what this could also be is that you've got some decisions to make and that you really need to focus on what it is that you're wanting and needing. And as I said, this was the card that we pulled for you to see what was happening for September. And so I wouldn't be surprised if you are on the precipice of change at that point. So it does feel like you're probably going to be where you are right now through the summer. But that as we start to move into September and into the fall, something shifting for you is like, okay, now I'm ready to start looking at some change, and that there are opportunities that you're considering at that time. Michelle, it was such a pleasure connecting with you this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. Awesome. And I've got one more here with JC. Hi, JC. It's always so good to connect with you. Just JC's asking how her son is doing. He's showing me that he's feeling grounded. He's feeling balanced. He is becoming more and more present and aware of physical surroundings and what's happening on the physical world. I do still see him connecting on a spiritual level. It feels like he is aware of spirit being very strongly around him, of the love and support that is there, but he is becoming more and more connected on physical level within his heart, within himself. And there's a different level of mental balance that I would say is coming up for him, a different level of awareness and a different level of cognition that's feeling really helpful and supportive. He's showing me that he is physically well. It feels like he might have a bit of an injury. Like this is looking like a cut. I know that often you or other family members go to the island, and I'm wanting to encourage you to leave salves or something along those lines. If he had a cut that he could use, he's showing me that he is doctoring it and bandaging it well, but I'm just wanting to make sure that he has something to make sure that everything is okay. Because as I said, it feels like he's got a bit of a cut. I'm seeing more on his leg, so I'm wondering if he's perhaps brushed by something and it's kind of injured him a bit. But other than that, he's showing me that he is physically well. He's showing me that he is eating, that he is drinking, that his body has the resources that it needs to continue moving forward. And so he is feeling well, and he's feeling more present in his physical body. And that's true over the last, little while that we've connected on the show, that he has been coming up as being more and more physically present and aware of what's happening on this physical realm. And it feels like his level of comfort with being on this physical realm is increasing too. Okay, we're just asking what message is coming through. We've got the clairvoyance card with Archangel Azrael. His message is, I am helping your spiritual sight to awaken fully so you can clearly see heavenly love. It feels to me like this is coming up for both of you to be able to see on that psychic and that intuitive level, to perceive more of the circumstances and the situation that you're in. We're able to see, right now I'm able to see the cards in front of me, the desk in front of me. I'm able to see lots of different things on the physical level, but that spiritual sight that's opening allows me to see and perceive on other levels. And it feels like that's part of what's opening for both of you, able to see on this bigger level and to connect in a new way. So I'm excited about that for both of you. JC, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support to you and to your son too. Awesome. We have come to the end of our show for this evening. I'm so incredibly grateful for the time that you've taken out of your day to connect with me. I'm Erin Lee of heavenlymessenger.com. I would love to connect with you for your own personal reading. If that's what you're looking for, I'm still connecting via phone, Skype, and Zoom. And you can find the time that works best for you on my website, bookingwitherin.com. As I said at the very beginning of the show, I'm not 100% sure if we'll be back next week, but I will certainly put up a notification as soon as I do know. You can receive a reminder either on my Heavenly Messenger page, on the Universal Connections page, or on my on my YouTube channel, which is Heavenly Messenger. And also, Bobby and I are taking this weekend off for our Oracle chats, but we will have a video that we're posting, a pre-recorded video that will be posted at 3:30 Pacific or 6:30 Eastern on Sunday. Sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and we will see you at some point in the future. Take care.